Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to another episode of Soulevision. Have you missed me? Yes or no? Honest answers only. No, but last week was crazy. Not really crazy, but I just didn't have time to do an episode, and as this content is free, I choose not to stress myself out trying to get things done. Granted, I do know that some of these things do help people. At the same time, I'm not getting paid, so you will do the same thing. So I just didn't have time to film an episode last week for the episode that was supposed to go out last week, but I am here today. So, hi, hello, welcome back to the channel, I guess it's channel. What else would I be saying? Welcome back. I hope that your break was great. My break was great. I celebrated my 8-year marriage anniversary on Monday, Indigenous Day, whatever you're calling it. Me and my husband went to spa and we went to get something to eat, and we had a grand old time. Boy, we had a time last night. No, but for real. That weekend was just, packed with things and things that I genuinely enjoyed. Went to a candle making class with my best friend. And that was very fun as well, too. Had a good time. For her not birthday, her unbirthday, whatever we're calling it. I have to figure out a name for it to call it for the rest of our lives. Anywho, how was your week? I hope it was well. I feel like I am just rambling and mumbling at the same time. Can't keep my attention in one spot. Today, my internet has been acting up ever since this morning when I was trying to print out some stuff for our homeschooling. So everything is going to be off my phone. Like you guys care. I don't think you do. As long as you're hearing something, right? Right. Okay. So without further ado, let's get into the affirmations. If you're new here, we do affirmations in the beginning of each and every video to speak positively to ourselves and to affirm a positive day, depending on what time you're listening to this. And it just sets the tone for the day. And for me, it's going to set the tone for this episode. And I've been getting feedback that you guys like the affirmations, so we're going to keep them running. Okay? All right. I am safe at this very moment. I am becoming stronger every second. I am gradually opening up to feel inner peace. The truth is, I am blessed, loved, and supported. I am stronger than I think I am. I trust the process of life. Life is always working for me. My body is calm. I am relaxing each part of my body. I am safe and in control. I have the ability to overcome setbacks. Those were good. Those were affirmations for anxiety, which I feel like a lot of people experience. So I think those were perfect. Let me know what you think about those affirmations. I'm going to start trying to make these videos. I don't know if my throat is dry, or I don't know. I just want to be like more chill because I feel like I be yelling. And for me, yelling is not average person yelling. I'm generally a quiet person. So when I am loud, unless I'm yelling at my kids, it's not really loud. But I feel like I be tense in these, I guess maybe because sometimes I get very into what I'm trying to get across. But at the same time, like, I don't know, today I just feel like being chill. Like if I could have a couch in here, I'll be leaning back on the couch, but I just have a chair. Maybe that can be something new in the setups. I don't know. but not anytime soon because this took a while to do and it's not broken, so whatever. So we're just gonna get right into the topic. Today I was battling between talking about boundaries because I know I touched on boundaries before, but I wanted to get more in depth and very specific with boundaries. But I want to speak about trauma, and I wanted to also go in depth about trauma, but at the same time, I just have too many ideas and my brain can't process like that can be next week's video idea, or the week after that. Like you can just have videos lined up. But no, my brain doesn't do that. So I'm like battling trying to pick the best one where it really doesn't matter because I can do all of them in a month or so. So anywho, today we're going to focus on, next week we'll either do like flat out trauma and what it is, and like what it is, period, and or boundaries and knowing when and who to set them with and how you should treat them and blah, blah, blah. But for today, I'm feeling, I want to say empathetic, which I'm always feeling. So I'm not going to say that I don't, today I'm just feeling empathetic, but I don't know. I just wanted to talk about something that, not necessarily something I can relate to, but talk to someone that is me or that was like me. Anywho, the topic and the thing I'm going to focus on today is the Fawn response. So most of us know with trauma, everyone always talks about fight or flight. Well, if you're like me, you experienced trauma and it wasn't flight or fight, you're kind of confused as to like how your response was. And from that, you start to blame yourself for responding the way you responded. Okay, so let's go back. These are questions that I have for you. So for me, and with my trauma and all the trauma that I have received, I would always hear about, fight or flight. Fight is you're literally fighting. Flight is you're trying to escape. And I didn't do any of the two in my specific trauma response. So I thought that something was wrong with me, and I started blaming myself for allowing things to happen to me. Allowing these people to hurt me, allowing these people to take advantage of me, manipulate me. I took that as my fault because I didn't feel or see my representation in the trauma response community, I guess. But what a lot of people don't speak about is that there are two other responses or trauma responses, and they're freeze and fawn. So freeze is literally like in an emergency situation, you're freezing. And fawn is a form of people pleasing where you just go along with things in order to keep the peace, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to read the actual definition so that I won't be paraphrasing, so that if you do identify with this, like I have, you have a clear definition as to what it is. Fawning is a trauma response where a person develops people-pleasing behaviors to avoid conflict and to establish a sense of safety. In other words, the fawn trauma response is a type of coping mechanism that survivors of complex trauma adopt to appease their abusers. So for the longest time, without knowing that information, I thought that I was the dummy for allowing my trauma to happen to me without realizing that the trauma happened to me and that other person is the problem, and I should never blame myself. So the reason why I wanted to do this episode is for someone that responded to their trauma just like I have, to let them know that it is not your fault. You have learned the people-pleasing skills that allowed you to fawn in whatever traumatic experience that you had. I feel like that is just not talked about because I think majority people do fight or flight. You have someone and they're talking about a situation, I would have did this, I would have did that, I would have did this, but you in your situation, it's like, I mean, if I could, I would fight, but I didn't. it's either not in me, or I wasn't raised to be a fighter. Like, there's just a lot of things that come with understanding why you fawn, and honestly, there might not be any understanding. But for years and years of my life, like I said, I blame myself. So I want to say to you, if you have ever blamed yourself for your trauma or anything that you have been through, it is not your fault. You did what you thought was best at the time, especially if you were a fawner. That trauma could have happened to you, and I resonate with this as well. That trauma could have happened to you, and you didn't say anything about it because you're still trying to appease someone. You're not trying to, have that person be negative towards you, even though they did the worst thing possible to you. There's no logic to it. So don't think with logic when you're trying to process your trauma and trying to evaluate why you did this, why you didn't do this. There's no logic to it. But if you're like me, you still were around the person that caused you trauma for a long time, and you didn't say anything because you're still in that fawning response. It's like I said, there's no logic. But if that is you, I just want you to know, from me to you, don't compare yourself to the people that were able to fight for themselves in a trauma response. That's not healthy for you. You just weren't able to, and that's something you have to accept. It's not something that you let happen to you. That's another thing that I kept saying in my head, like, you're so stupid, you let that happen to you. Like, why would you let someone do that to you? But it's like, no, it's not really letting someone do that to you. You really just don't know how to respond to certain situations that are so heinous. You shouldn't have to know how to respond to something like that. It makes sense? Especially if it's something that happened to you in your childhood. That shouldn't be something that is in your repertoire of skills, I guess you could say. But don't compare yourself how you coulda, shoulda, woulda done things, except that you did fawn, and that is not your fault. You're not stupid. You shouldn't feel like you're less than. You're not stupid. None of this is your fault. You didn't do anything to cause it. You were just really doing the best that you can do. And if I can open up just a little bit, which, I mean, I'm still juggling. Like, I don't want y'all to be knowing everything about me, but like I don't want you to know specifics, but I feel like me sharing, certain details will help someone else that's trying to either process their emotions or like trigger. I don't want to trigger you, but like it could trigger a memory for you that you didn't realize that is still affecting you in your subconscious. Okay. So I lost where I was going to go. Don't we love it? I need a brain Venn diagram that's a holograph that shows all the things that I'm thinking, and then I can like do this. Google, can y'all do that? I think that would be good, so that this podcast would be very much so easier for me. Damn, where was I going? I always go on tangents because I do feel like I have to explain certain things. Honestly, for my own mental. Do I want to watch this back? What was I saying? I don't remember what it was. I went back and played it, but it was just in my head that I felt loading, but it didn't. Nothing. When I watched it back, nothing triggered it. But like I was saying, you were doing the best you knew how. Like, there's no, in your trauma responses, it's just something that clicks because your body is trying to save you. So for me, I think I found it. For me, I felt like if I let this happen, this person would be nice to me. If I allow them to do this, maybe they'll be nice to me. Like, it's not, I didn't fight, I didn't flight, I didn't want it, but I went along with it. Like, I didn't like go somewhere. It happened in a place of comfort for me. It's not like I went out and was, I don't know. I feel like the fawn, before I go into what I was going to say, I feel like with the fawn trauma response, for me and how I was when I was experiencing the trauma during that time period, I just went along with it. So that's where the feelings of you're dumb, you're stupid, why would you let that happen? Why would you do that? Like, I didn't go along with it like, let's do this, but I went along with it without, like, I didn't say stop. I didn't want it, but I didn't say stop. Does that make sense? Because I think I was at the age where I don't think I was at the age where I didn't know what that was. I didn't know how much it would harm me in my future. I didn't know how much it would harm me then, because I feel like I noticed it as an adult, but when I was younger and I can look back on my life, that affected my whole childhood. So I just want to get rid of that confusion. The fawn response is not a response that is saying, I want to do this too. It's a response of saying, I'm just going to get this over with because I still have those tendencies of not wanting conflict. In the tendency where logically you would want conflict and you would fight for yourself, you don't, because I think that I just wasn't able to fight for myself because I was too young. I didn't know that I even had the capabilities of fighting for myself, and I wasn't trained to fight for myself. I'm just going to say I wasn't trained to fight for myself. I didn't see good examples around me to be able to know how to fight and stand up for myself. So I didn't have those skills or those tools in order to do so. But I feel like I want to say to you, if you, in any of your trauma responses, if you fawned in any of it, please don't think that just because you didn't fight or flight that you wanted that to happen to you. Nobody wants trauma to happen to them. Don't blame yourself. It's bigger than you. None of this is your fault. Because if nobody would have harmed you, you wouldn't have to worry about a trauma response. Okay? So for me, this person wasn't really nice to me. It wasn't nice to me. I didn't feel good around this person. I saw a cause and effect of how they treated me after it happened. I justified it happening. And I feel like that's another part of fawning. You justify why you try to justify why this is happening to you, even though you can't process that, because you're not supposed to have to process trauma. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to be able to live your life and have a happy little life. Granted, technically we all have trauma, so I guess not. The basis of this video is for you to not beat yourself up for how you responded to your trauma. You're not stupid. Your current logic will not make sense to your past, because when you're in trauma, trauma shocks your body, and your body is really just trying to protect you. You can't remember certain things or you can't remember certain details of your trauma, or some people can't. It's your body trying to protect you. Your body was not able to process that trauma because it just didn't have the brain capacity to do so. So in order to save you, it gave you reasons to justify why that trauma is happening, and made you feel like, it was okay. You convinced yourself that it was okay because this, I'm avoiding conflict. I don't know how to speak up for myself. If I let this happen, boom. It's just like so many things that your brain will do to get you out of that. Your brain could completely forget certain things, which I think you can recover in therapy, or like different forms of therapy. I don't think it's just sit down therapy, but there's like different forms of therapy that people go through, which I feel like for the longest time that happened to me. But since I'm always in my head, those thoughts and those memories came back eventually, because I was focused on trying to forget them, but they kept coming over and over, and certain things would trigger them. But your brain does things to protect you. So your fawn response was just trying to protect you. You did not know what to do. You did not know what to do. Forgive yourself. Take that burden and blame away from you. All in all, with fawning, I don't know if that's a word, that's the way it is, but if you are a people pleaser, or if in your adult life, like I found out, if you're a people pleaser, then you're more likely to be a fawning or a fawner. Okay, let's rephrase that. If you're a people pleaser, then your trauma response will most likely be the fawn trauma response, because that is people pleasing under that traumatic stress, unfortunately. And the peace is still kept with me. So I don't know. For me, I haven't confronted that person because, like I said, I didn't need the closure from that person. I tried to not be around that person. But honestly, if I can be completely honest, the reason why I fawned, like I said already, don't know how to speak up for myself because I didn't learn that. Guardianship didn't speak up for themselves. I don't want to call any specific person out because I don't know. What y'all think? Should I say something? I don't know. I don't want to be messy, but guardianship didn't show me via their examples and like how people treated them. So right. And then certain experiences I had with this same person that abused me with, adults. And it was just, it showed that even if I did say something, I felt like, for me, if I did say something, I felt like it wouldn't be validated like I would need it to be. I feel like it would be brushed under a rug because, like I said, guardianship doesn't speak up, and I just didn't feel safe to speak up. So that people pleasing went on into like for years, just like kind of it's keeping it a secret. Now I have a question for myself. Is keeping your trauma a secret a part of the fawn response? That, I don't know. Do I want to look it up? Yes, but do I want to lose my spot in what I'm talking about? No. What does fawning look like in children? Fawning is making others happy to the expense of our own happiness. We're willing to give up our boundaries, our wants, and our needs in order to make others happy. Yep. All right. That's not what I was searching. I don't know. But for right now, I'm going to say, and I'm not going to say I'm correct. I could be wrong on this. But since that question has popped in my head, I'm going to say, since it's still a people pleasing tendency, and that we're trying to avoid conflict, that keeping your trauma a secret is a part of the fawn response to trauma. If I'm wrong, just tell me I'm wrong, but I am willing to bet because it makes sense. Here is why. In my still attempt of, while I was being traumatized, I was going along with it, like just letting it happen to me. I feel like I can say that now because I healed from that part of me. But remember, letting it happen to you has a negative connotation because that makes you feel like you weren't able to fight for yourself, which you weren't, but you shouldn't feel bad about it. Okay? So while I was being traumatized, I was letting it happen to me. And in my way of avoiding conflict, like I can't fight for myself. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to put your needs over mine, which is the people pleasing, trying to make sure that you're not upset with me because you're already not a nice person to me. But even after the traumatic event stopped, I never said anything. I kept going on like nothing happened. Now, I could say that since I was a child that I didn't know it was happening, which that's part of it. But at the same time, it's like I still wanted to keep the peace because I know if I said something, then there would be chaos. And at what cost would the chaos be if the chaos wasn't going to be for my better good? Because I felt like it wouldn't be for my better good. Okay? I went years and years and years not saying anything, and a lot of people don't know. And I feel like a lot of it's going to be very few people that are from my, I guess, family or friend circle that are going to watch this episode, and it's whatever. I don't care. But there's something that I only spoke to about with my very, very, very close friends and my sister, but like nobody knows. I'm not trying to keep it a secret anymore, but it's just like I don't know if I don't know if I want to deal with that chaos. And that's just something that I will just have to deal with. And camera got hot. So sorry. I should stop apologizing because it happens every single episode. Anywho, what I was saying was, I don't know if I want to, come out and tell the whole family, because it's just like, do I want that chaos? Do I want to be fighting people that got me messed up? No. So think of it as me keeping my own inner peace, because I don't really care for everyone to know. It happened to me. I healed from it. We can move on. I'm not really a public person. I'm very private. So like even small stuff, like I don't be sharing everything on social media. It's just not me as a person. So I don't know. I feel like me and my mom will go through that, because we started, well, if you listen, I'm making a side-eye face, because she started to show interest in wanting to know about my life and my traumas, because I shared with her, certain things, because she's been living life very obliviously. So I think she wants to know, just, I guess, maybe to understand where I'm coming from. Whatever, if that happens, then she'll know. But I don't really care for people to know. But like I was saying, it was a secret for a long time. Like I was just around this person all the time. And they went on like nothing was wrong or nothing happened. So I just went on like, all right, like I guess we're just not going to talk about this. We never talked about it. And we were not always together, but together a lot. And like after that series of traumatic experiences, like that never happened again, but like we just never talked about it. And I feel like the next or another episode that I'll write down is like the revolving door of trauma, because I feel like if it's trauma, or like, I guess, let's just say sexual abuse with 2 kids, or rape, or whatever it is, it's something that's learned from somewhere else that happened to them. They pass it down to everyone else around them, not realizing that it's wrong, because it wasn't told to them as wrong. It wasn't presented as wrong. Like whoever did it to them just made it seem like it was cool. Everything was fine. So they just kept going. And I was in the loop of that. But we'll talk about that another time. Do we talk about that another time, or did I just explain all of that just now? I don't know. But yes, for the longest time I kept it a secret. I didn't tell nobody. We just act like nothing was wrong. And I thought I was fine until I became an adult, and I was like, oh snap. And it's even more sickening that I was just going through all that by myself. And it was even more sickening that I was around that person all the time. And it's even more sickening that nobody noticed. It was just a lot of things that it was just too much. Do you hear me? Too much for me. But that, I'm going to say, was still people pleasing, because I didn't want to have any conflict. I didn't want to have anyone, like, I feel like there has been times where what I have said wasn't believed. So I didn't think anyone would believe me. And it is what it is. If you want to tell people, you can. If you feel like that's part of your healing, then you can. Because for some people, that is part of the healing. But it just wasn't part of my healing. And I can't say that you shouldn't tell whoever, because that's your life. You got your own body. You got your own internal things that you listen to, and things that help you heal. That just wasn't something that would help me heal. And honestly, with certain things, that I'm an adult, okay? So when I say, like, my mom wanted to talk to me, I felt like a kid kind of when I just said that. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe that's a kid thing to say, but not necessarily. But it's like me saying that I'm speaking to my mom about my traumas. It's like, I feel, maybe it's just, I feel like that should have happened when I was a kid. Maybe that's what it is. There we go. But for all the fawners out there, I am here with you. I have been you. And I wish that, and I feel like everybody wishes that they had the same mentality, or the same fight, and the same will to stand up for themselves that they do now, as like to bring back to when they were younger. So don't beat yourself up, because you didn't know. You can't beat yourself up for what you didn't know. If you knew better, you would do better, but you didn't know. It sucks that, it happened to you and us. It really does. But what's worse is us beating ourselves up for something we didn't ask for, something we didn't do. Okay? So keep trying to shine your light. Try to stay out that dark place, because I know where that can take you. Your thoughts can be very sabotaging. Please, 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 please. Just stop being negative to yourself mentally. Be gentle with who you are, especially if you are still processing that trauma. Please be gentle. What is the word? I don't know the word, man. Don't be too hard on yourself. You're human, and that's not even a mistake. Things just happened the way they happened. Nothing that you or I can do about it. It sucks. Just don't be hard on yourself. And if you have questions, if you want to talk about something, I'm always here. I feel like, I don't know, those things happen to me so I can help other people. Granted, a lot of stuff was trash, but it happened so I can help you get through what you went through. And hopefully we just stop the cycle of these kind of traumatic experiences, especially in childhood, because it's not right. It's not right. It's not okay. But I hope you feel or felt seen from this episode, from, what I'm saying, the experiences that I am sharing, because that's what I want you to feel. I want you to feel like you're able to tell your brain that the story that it's been telling you, the negative stories it's been telling you about yourself, aren't true. That you deserve happiness. You deserve to be able to heal from this. You deserve to be able to move past this in order to live a more fulfilling life. Okay? We talked about Fawn. It's not talked about, but we talked about it today. Okay? And I hope that I said all that I needed to say. Okay, so I think that was all for that part of the segment. Can I get this closer to my mouth? I've seen other podcasters and they had it closer to their mouth. So we're going to try for close to my mouth. Anywho, we're going to jump into the Reddit segments of the day. And, yeah. Yeah, I don't know this because how cameras work, and I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this in the video, but I just left, took my kids to the park, started dinner, and now I'm back for the last piece of the segment. So I think I for sure said all I need to say in the first part because nothing else came. I'm the type of person that when I'm talking or if I have an argument or if I'm just speaking with anyone in general, I remember things that I could have and should have said later on when I'm already not in that conversation anymore. But yeah, so you didn't need that story, but here you go. There you go. All right. So for Reddit, people in long-term relationships, what's the weirdest, most vulnerable thing you and your partner have done? The string broke off my tampon once, and after struggling for ages to get it out myself and failing, I told him what had happened, and he got in there and managed to scoop it out so I didn't have to go to the doctors. Ooh. Okay. That is wild. I do get the panic. And I guess, that's your man, so he's going to do what he can to get that out. That's good. Caring for his dying aunt. She was the woman who raised my husband. Her own children were indifferent to her situation, so we took on her care. She was confused. What word is that? I just did it you know how dogs aren't sure of stuff and they turn their head to the side? I'm not going to try to pronounce that yet. I got to figure out what it is. It's a word that I don't know. Inconscient. That's my guess on how it's pronounced. Having no or insufficient voluntary control over your nation. Oh, okay. We're going to hear what it is pronounced as, but that's my guess.
Incontinent.
Oh. Okay. Because T.I. be making a sound sometimes, but in this time, no. I was like, incontinent doesn't sound very educated, so I'd be thinking too much. Okay. So, back to dying aunt. She was confused, incontinent, and bedbound. For 6 months, we cleaned and fed her, gave her meds, and soothed her when she had terrors and delusions. At the end, we stood vigil with her as she slid into death. Afterwards, we washed and dressed her body. It was an intense experience for us both, sharing an intimacy and vulnerability with his aunt, but also being ourselves as a couple. Wow, that's honorable though. That is honorable. Why you ain't call nobody? I would probably call somebody. I would freak out. Yeah. Someone said, my utmost respect for your hard work. It takes a special person to do this. I'm sorry for your loss. Really a special person to do this, because there's no way. Okay, let me not say there's no way I would do it, but that is scary. Death and dealing with dead bodies. Let me tell you, side story. The first time I ever cooked a turkey for Thanksgiving by myself at my house, I was freaked out. And it was just a big dead bird. But I was just like freaked out, like going in to get the neck and the gizzards or guts or whatever, and just like flipping it over, having to season it. I was freaked out. Dead things, I don't know. I know it's dead, but I'm freaked out. All right, next one. My wife has very long and curly hair. She sank into a really bad depression and didn't shower or brush her hair for like a week. She cried one night telling me she would probably have to shave her head because she couldn't get a brush through it, and that she felt so unattractive because she hasn't showered. So I spent 4 hours picking through her hair with a comb and brushing it out fully. Then I set the bath and bathed her, washed her hair. I kept telling her how gorgeous and attractive she is and how lucky I am to have her. Aw, good guy, good guy. I still brush her hair every night, and she loves when I wash her hair for her. When she had cancer, I also shaved her legs for her and sometimes helped her get to the bathroom. She deserves the world. She is so sweet. I would do anything for her. I love her so much. That is so sweet. They love each other so much. They're both givers. Oh, that is so sweet. That I'm not gonna cry. I feel my eyes water a little bit though. Next, tweezing tiny ticks out of my husband's arse crack after a long walk in the moors. I don't know what that is. I didn't have a single one on myself. Thank God. Wow. I would do that too. I feel like most of these, I don't know, when you're married, I don't know if it says for marriage, but if you're married, long-term, yeah. If you're in a long-term relationship, there's a lot that you would do for that person because you really do love and care for that person. So, but a lot of this is so sweet though. Okay. Weird, not necessarily vulnerable. My wife and I went out drinking one night and both of us got really drunk. We took a cab home from downtown, which is about a 20-minute ride. Neither of us peed before we left the bar, and about 10 minutes in, we both really had to go. The problem is that we only had one bathroom at our apartment. While attempting to decide who would go first, I joked that when we got home, we could try to pee at the same time. She would sit and spread her legs a bit, and I would try to pee between her legs into the toilet. We both found this idea incredibly funny and decided to try when we get home. For some reason, the Spice Girls song, Two Become One, popped into my head. So when the cab was pulling up to our place, I put the song on my phone and we ran inside to try to pee on the toilet at the same time while listening to that song. We were able to do it successfully without making a mess and laughed for it the rest of the night. I have done that for sure. Have done that. Not drunk. Completely, both of us completely sober. Not even because there was one bathroom. It's just our bathroom in our master bathroom. We don't use any other bathrooms in the house, but yeah, definitely sober. Definitely not not inebriated at all. I don't know if it's weirder. I think it's weirder that we were sober, but we're kind of weird, so. I'm a teacher and was pregnant at the same time as a former student. The student lost her baby and almost lost her life to an infection of the placenta during birth. I mourned for that sweet girl and her baby, and my husband watched. When I was induced, I spiked a fever and was also diagnosed with an infection of the placenta. I was shaking uncontrollably when they took me for an emergency C-section. I remember very little from the birth, but my mother has told me after the fact that my husband held it together until the nurse took our son back to the nursery. He collapsed into her arms and wept, thinking I would die like my student almost had. The next day, he helped me shower in the hospital and knelt in front of me to clean my incision and all the disinfectant solution away. He cried while he did this, and I have never seen so much love in his eyes. My husband is a man of few words, but the look on his face and the care he took to wash me and help me dress that day are burned in my memory. Again, wow. That is scary. That's a scary situation to see your loved one and you know you can't help. You just hope and pray that, they don't. Wow. Sweet. Oof. Held my 45-year-old husband in my arms, kissed him, spoke to him, thanking him for our beautiful life together, and that I would love him forever as he was actively dying from an illness. I did not expect to read this. After calling the mortuary, I got back into bed and put his arms around me and stayed in my happy place for the last time. It was beautiful and heartbreaking. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. All right, we gotta go to the next one. When we were just boyfriend and girlfriend, I had to get a cystectomy on my tailbone. The nurse after the surgery recommended using maxi pads for recovery since most normal gauze wouldn't cover the full length of the wound. They also recommended keeping the area clean of hair. So every day my girlfriend would put a maxi pad on and shave my ass pretty much. Obviously we got married. Wow. All right. Last one. The weirdest and most vulnerable time of my female 30 relationship and my guy, who was 32, was when he was diagnosed with cancer last year. Living together and caring for him while he was sick with chemo was the most surreal experience. He's in remission now and pretty much back to normal, but sometimes something will catch us off guard and we'll remember what it was like. So raw and painful and strangely intimate. I'm thankful that it brought us closer together and strengthened our relationship. I love that guy so much. Wow. Someone said, I can tell you from experience that he appreciates this more than you will ever know. I was 32 when diagnosed with testicular cancer. Would not be here without my wife taking care of me for the past couple years. Thankfully, I'm recovering now. Now it's my turn to take care of her, as she has recently had surgery on her foot. Having someone on your team makes a huge difference. Wow. Stuff like that does bring you closer because it's just like, now you see how we are mortal and like nothing else really matters because literally, like I'd be saying, we take life for granted. So when you have something like that, you really try to cherish them and take in every moment with them, and it's very beautiful. We're going to do another one just in case that first one doesn't fly by with me.
Those of you who've actually...
So, yeah. Okay. What is surprisingly safe for human consumption? Crocs. You can eat your Crocs. One of the original selling points was that due to them being made with 100% non-toxic materials, you could boil the shoes and eat them should you find yourself stranded in the woods. I haven't tried them, but I would imagine they taste as bad as they look. First of all, Crocs are kind of ugly, but that's interesting. Well, if you ever get stranded in the woods and you have water to boil, eat your Crocs. If you're stuck in the woods with nothing to eat, but somehow have a large pot enough to boil your Crocs, which you inexplicably took with you on a wilderness hike, then you might have made bad choices. That's true. You can eat everything inside of a natural beehive, including the bees. Just don't get stung. I'm finna get stung. I already know my luck. The little stickers on the fruit you buy in the store, even the glue for them are FDA approved. Really? Dog and cat food. The FDA requires pet food to be human grade because during the Depression, so many desperate people died from eating pet food. Wow. But that's interesting. And I feel like, yeah, during the Depression, like, niggas ain't had nothing to eat. They ain't have Crocs to eat, so they had to eat the dog food. Ballistal? It's a general purpose oil for lubrication and rust protection and can be used for metal, wood, and leather. It's completely safe to drink and it even smells like licorice. Someone said their grandma used to feed them as a home remedy. What's in it? It is made out of mineral oil, alkaline salts of oleic acid, several alcohols, benzyl acetate, and oil from vegetal seeds. Nah, I'm alright. Alright, some indigenous tribes eat clay in small amounts due to the minerals and texture. Wendy's Frosties contain kaolinite, which is a clay. Oddly enough, gallium up to a certain weight. Bro, what are these things that I can't pronounce? Gallium? I don't know. We're going to skip that one. Dandelions can make a great tea. Dandelions are really good for your health and I think also your immune system and your digestive system, if I'm not mistaken. In French, dandelions are called pissenlits, which literally means piss in bed. Supposedly because drinking dandelion tea makes you more likely to wet the bed. Interesting. It's a diuretic. Okay, there we go. But a lot of people were saying that dandelions have like a lot of healing power. That's why they now have like restrictions and regulations on dandelion, just like how they do any natural products that's really good for you because they're trying to push medicine. Anywho, a whole bottle of Nivea cream, apparently. I ate an entire box of Nivea cream when I was a toddler, and the only aftercare was that my poop smelled nice for a while. Someone replied, my biology teacher told us she likes the taste of Nivea cream, and when she uses it, she always eats a little bit. What is going on? I feel like as a teacher, that's something you keep to yourself so kids don't start calling you a lotion eater. That is weird. That is weird to confess to your kids. That should have stayed by yourself. Teachers, we gotta watch you teaching your kids. But that has been all for this episode of Soulevision. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that what I said was speaking to your soul resonated with it, and your soul needed what I said. I really like this episode. I like the topic, and it was really good. Comment below what you want me to talk about next week. If what I said I was going to talk about next week is something that piques your interest, please comment. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. If you're listening, subscribe however that app or browser allows you to subscribe. I really appreciate it. Give us 5 stars. Comment your thoughts. Let me know. Just talk to me. So without further ado, I've been your host, Ashley Dukes, and I hope you have a great week. And please come back next week. Come back next week, because I'm going to need you to come back. All right. Bye.